Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Rachel and we're going to start talking about crystals. Today I want to talk about obsidian. I love obsidian so much, and while it's a very well-known stone, I don't feel like it's talked about enough. I feel like it's one of those things that's just there. We're used to it being there and we know what it does, so we don't like deep dive into it. But today I want to deep dive into obsidian. So the first thing about obsidian is obviously it's a black stone. In general, all of the black stones can be a little bit grounding, they can be protective, and I do think that obsidian has both of those properties. However, I feel like it's not that simple. I feel like as a black stone, obsidian is one of the more complex ones, and that is kind of talked about a lot, how it's thrown around that like, oh, maybe you're not ready to work with obsidian, it might be too strong for you, it might be too strong for children. And I don't believe in things like that. Like, I don't believe a crystal can be bad for you. However, I will admit that it can get very deep. It's really good for doing shadow work, and it does feel like a very like serious stone. If I had to pick like keywords for obsidian, I would pick deep, powerful, magical, serious, maybe purification, and it's supposed to help you have mastery over yourself. To me, I feel very at home with obsidian. It feels very at home to me. I feel very protected by it. Is it one of the stones of Scorpio? That just popped in my head. Maybe it is, and maybe that's why. While I'm not a Scorpio and none of my big three is in Scorpio, I have more planets in Scorpio than any other sign. So I'm very influenced by Scorpio, and I identify a lot with the Scorpio underneath, secretive, deep work, life ending and then beginning energy. I feel that in life. It is supposed to absorb excess electromagnetic energy. It is supposed to be one of those ones that is good for taking all the bad stuff out of the air, negative vibes, but also the bad electronic everything that is in our day-to-day lives affecting us. Basically, it is great at eliminating negative energy, whether in your environment or in yourself. And like I said, it helps you go very deep. So it can help you move through unprocessed traumas, negative attachments. Like I said, with the death and rebirth thing, that's why I'm feeling a lot of this, because that's what a negative attachment would be, right? It can help you clear out feelings of resentment. And once again, that is just helping process unprocessed traumas maybe. And the way that it is said to help you clear out all of that stuff and figure all of that out is being like a mirror, to help you be almost in a form of self-judgment, but in a loving way. But it can help you kind of see inside of yourself, in like the deep parts of yourself that maybe you don't like looking at. And that's the only way to get through something, is to work through something. Like, you have to actually walk through the room to get to the other side, right? This helps you be like, okay, let's do this. Let's actually pay attention to what's going on so that we can fix it. So maybe it's not fair to say that it's healing you as much as it's putting you in a process where you are healing yourself, which is extremely empowering. I actually have a quote that I want to read you from one of my favorite crystal writers, Katrina Raphael. And what she says about obsidian is, "Be ready to clean out the dirty cobwebs in the darkest corners of your mind. When this purging is complete, the veils of illusion will be lifted, the third eye opened, and the ultimate truth known." Beautifully put. I could not describe it any better. So not only is it supposed to help you work through things, fix yourself in a way, it's also very grounding. It's said that it can be very stabilizing for people who are a little bit more scattered. And as far as like the grounded part, it almost helps you bring more life force into your body so that you can live in your body. I know that a lot of people, myself included, tend to almost live outside of our bodies. I live a lot in my mind, and every once in a while I do have to remind myself, like, I'm in this body. Like, I kind of try to bring myself down into it. because it is a very unsettled feeling living up here all the time. And a lot of that with me is my crown chakra is very active, right? Like I have a lot of psychic stuff going on at all times. So for me, I think that's interesting and fascinating. So I end up there a lot, but there is something to be said for coming back down into your body to process everything that you have learned. And I think that that is a very important step, part of the cycle, a closing of the circle, if you will, that if you don't do and you're always just living up here, it's hard to make sense of what you're actually hearing. And I feel like that is one of the ways that people kind of can fall into almost a spiritual psychosis. Let's talk about shapes and pairings. My favorite, I've always loved obsidian, but I always wanted an obsidian sphere. So and now I have one. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. To me, obsidian spheres are elite. The energy in a sphere of obsidian, it just feels like it's supposed to be in a sphere. Specifically, I had read that it's very good for scrying, which is when you kind of like stare into a crystal ball and see things. So I was fascinated by that, and I've always wanted a crystal ball for scrying, and I've been very hesitant to get a clear quartz crystal ball. I'm very aware and afraid of the fact that clear quartz crystal balls easily catch things on fire, and I am not about that life. The obsidian for a scrying ball really spoke to me. I'm really happy I have one. I love it so much. I haven't actually used it for scrying yet, but I use it a lot for grounding work mostly. I also have been tending to hold on to this in the mornings when I'm doing affirmations for whatever reason. I don't know that this is like known as a stone for manifestation or anything like that, but I have been gravitating to this a lot lately for that extra kind of like, maybe it's just like that I'm like supporting myself, hugging myself. I have heard the recommendation to work with clear quartz quite a bit before and maybe after you use obsidian if you're actually specifically trying to do very like deep work with it. You can even hold on to a clear quartz wand while you're working with the obsidian if you're worried about it. But like I said, I don't get too caught up in the like warnings about crystals for whatever reason. Maybe that's naive of me, but I don't think you ever need to be scared to do something with crystals. It's supposed to be great paired with amber for healing purposes. It is supposed to be wonderful with phenakite for more of like insight purposes and spirit communication type stuff. So, and that makes sense to me because one of my favorite pairings with moldavite is obsidian. The first time I ever paired moldavite with anything, it was a piece of rainbow obsidian, and I couldn't believe how the energy changed. If you don't know, I'm obsessed with moldavite. I'm obsessed with feeling the energy of moldavite and then adding another crystal and seeing how the energy changes. I have a whole playlist of videos where I get very weird with energy. I will link them for you somewhere. But obsidian and moldavite work very well together. And one of the things I kind of theorize about that is that with a grounding crystal like obsidian, but is also like opening up your soul for whatever you need to do. And then the high vibrational magical features of the moldavite, it's like the perfect pairing of just like, I don't know, it's great. I love moldavite and obsidian. So when I saw that phenakite is recommended with obsidian for spirit communication, makes total sense for me. And if you haven't tried pairing your crystals with other crystals to see what happens, I highly recommend it. It's so much fun, it's so interesting, and you can really learn about yourself that way, I think. So that is my little spiel on obsidian. Do you guys have obsidian? Do you love it? How do you feel about it? I'd love to know. Please let me know down below. As of right now, I do have a couple of spheres in my website I will link for you. And if you have any questions about obsidian, please also let me know. I'm planning on doing a lot more of these individual crystal videos. If you have any requests or recommendations, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all so much. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time.